Hi, I'm Dr. Heidi Cook, the owner of the spa at West Glen. Thank you for joining us today. So now we are well into spring and summer is right around the corner. Many of us are thinking about all the activities that we are going to do for the next couple of months, and many of these will take you outside. So you may be thinking about spending time at the pool. If you're a parent, you may be at the ball field or the soccer field, or you may be dreaming about your next round of golf. Whatever these are, you're going to be exposed to the sun and to the heat. And we want you to be able to enjoy these activities, but protect yourself. Every year, there are 5.4 million cases of basal cell and squamous cell skin cancers that are diagnosed. 90% of those have been shown to be a result of sun exposure. In addition to that, 76,000 cases of melanoma are diagnosed each year, and 86% of those are due to sun exposure. In addition to that, 90% of visible skin aging is due to UV sun radiation. So we want to enjoy our activities, but we want to keep ourselves protected. There are a lot of new information and a lot of new players in the sun protection sunscreen realm. So today I want to get that information out to you. In addition to that, we have a special guest today. She is someone I have known for about 10 years, and she's been involved in the fitness industry for about 20 and has done various things within fitness. So she has some interesting information. She's very dynamic, and we'll be talking with her on the show also. So after this short break, we will be back. Welcome back. So our special guest today is sitting here with me. This is Candy Bishop. She has been involved in the fitness industry for about 20 years, and she's done various things within that industry. I first met her, I think, 10 years ago, and we've done various things even together. So she is an ACE certified trainer. She has her own business, which is called Guns and Poses Fitness, which does online training, bodybuilding, competition prep, posing, nutrition, kind of everything in there. She is a STOT Pilates certified trainer. She herself has held her pro card for figure competitions, and she is a fitness instructor at Lifetime Athletic. In addition, she is also a judge for natural bodybuilding competitions. So she's kind of got everything going on. So thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
So what I thought, there's a lot of things that we could talk to Candy about, but what I thought we would start with, since it is the season, is looking at the bodybuilding competitions.
Yeah.
So what, and for men and for women, so what are the different categories? What are people looking for?
There are different categories, and for females, you have the traditional bodybuilding, where of course they're looking for more mass and a level of leanness they're a lot leaner than the others. And then physique, a little less mass and a little bit more feminine in that they're posing, their hands are open instead of the traditional fist closed for bodybuilding. And then figure competitors have yet a little less mass, maybe not quite as lean as physique and bodybuilding, and then you add in heels, high heels to the competition. So they have to learn how to walk gracefully and pose and have grace and poise. And then bikini is a whole new category that's been really popular in the last few years, where they're looking for that softer look, the real fit physique, but definitely not striated muscles. And a lot of attitude and sass comes into play there on the stage in the high heels.
Okay. And there's a new category for men,
yes,
I believe.
For men, they have, of course, the traditional bodybuilding, the Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
And then they have physique for men as well, where they wear board shorts and not quite as much muscle mass. And when I think of it, a sprinter would be more like a bodybuilder, where an 800 runner would be more like a physique body.
Okay. So if someone has never done anything like this but is kind of interested, what advice would you give them?
You know, first and foremost, I would tell them to attend a show.
Okay.
I'm always shocked at the amount of people that contact me and say, I want to compete, and then we get to talking and I find out they've never even been to a show. So there's a lot more involved than just diet and exercise. And so I always say, at least go attend a show, and that's either going to elevate your motivation where they're really going to want to compete then, or they may realize, you know, oh my goodness, I'm on stage in a little teeny tiny bikini. Maybe that's just not for me.
Right. Yes.
So first and foremost, go attend a show. Second, find a coach, a reputable coach, and interview several different coaches and find who meets your needs and your personality as well. There are a ton of great personal trainers in the area, but maybe not all of them specialize in competition. So it's good to get with somebody that knows what's involved with the competition, what the judges are looking for, what goes on behind the scenes, just so you have that person to guide you through the whole process.
Okay. And so when someone decides that they do want to do it, what is their program like? How many weeks does this take for preparation?
You know, and that's so individualized based on where their current body fat is, and which category they want to go for, how lean they need to get. And that would be one of the things that you should ask when looking for a coach. If they can guarantee that you're going to be ready in X number of weeks, that might be a little bit of a red flag that, every person is going to peak differently, and they can usually give you a broad range, but it shouldn't be a cookie cutter program. It should be based on your individual needs. And so much of the competition is based on your symmetry. So if your upper body and your lower body match, and if your front and your back match in terms of leanness and muscle size. So you may need to take a little bit of time just to work on a specific area and to work on your symmetry before you even think about getting on stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the diet part of it, pretty involved.
Yes, the diet part of it, you're going to get very detailed with counting macros, and if you don't know what macros are, you'll soon find that you know very much more than you ever probably thought you would. Tracking all of your meals, tracking your water intake.
And then as far as typically, I know it depends on which category they're doing, on the exercise side, doing weights and then doing quite a bit of cardio?
You know, yeah, and we've changed a lot in the recent years to where we focus a lot on heavy lifting. Even our bikini athletes lift heavy because a lot of it's based on your genetics and your body type and how much muscle you're going to be able to build. But then controlling a lot of it through the diet and going slow and steady, dieting you down so you don't have to do a ton of cardio. That's another thing. If your coach tells you out of the gate that you're going to be doing 2 hours of cardio a day, you might think, I need to interview a few more coaches.
Okay, yeah, because I know that it used to be
they
what they did a
it
lot
used to
of.
be, yes. And I just haven't, I've been in the industry long enough where I've seen everything come and go, and a lot less risk of metabolic damage and truly hurting your metabolism by doing all of that cardio.
Yeah. And actually, and I got to admit that one of the things that we did together is I did 2 shows and you were my posing coach.
Yes.
And so on the posing side, that's a big part of it.
It really is. And as a judge, when I do judge, I see some individuals, some competitors that have amazing physiques, and unfortunately they just don't know how to showcase it. They haven't worked on the posing, or no one has taught them how to pose properly. And it's such a shame because they've worked so hard on their diet and they've done all their workouts, and then just to miss that one piece. So your posing coach, if your competition coach doesn't focus on posing, if that's not their area of expertise, you may need to get a separate posing coach as well.
Okay. Yeah, and it is really interesting when it all falls together. When someone has a great physique, they can pose, and then they have the stage presence kind of on top of it. So what are the potential downsides of competing?
The potential downsides, first and foremost, it's a subjective sport. So you can have an amazing physique, and there could be 20 other amazing physiques up there, and it does get broken down by symmetry and muscularity and leanness, and then that stage presence and that grace and that poise, and you may not win that day, But if you came with the best package that you could put together, you have to leave there feeling like a champion, because it's not always going to be your day. It's what the judges were looking for that day. So you can't take it too personal. And that's why a lot of times when I interview with competitors about coaching and helping them out, I try to find out the reason why they're competing, because you have to know that you prep, if you get on stage and you've done the workouts and you've done the diet and you've done the posing, that you know, I did the best I could do today. Of course, we all want to win. The other thing that could possibly come out of it is if you do diet too intensely, too quickly. Competitors, it's a new epidemic in our industry called metabolic damage, where, because as you diet, your metabolism does slow down. And if they compete too many shows in a row, it could, or just diet for too long, it can definitely have some repercussions on the back end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the beginning of the bodybuilding competition season. Goes through November, September, November, somewhere in there. If you are interested, check out Candy's website at Guns and Poses, and you can get a hold of her. There's a contact place that you can fill out the information and they can get a hold of you. So enjoy looking at all of that and looking into the figure competitions. Welcome back. So we are going to be talking about sun exposure and sun protection today. In the introduction, I gave you some numbers on the number of people that are diagnosed each year with the different types of skin cancer. And what that all comes down to is that 1 person in every 5 will be diagnosed with some type of skin cancer during their lifetime, which is a pretty big number. So we want you to be protected. Also, I talked about how 90% of the visible signs of aging are actually due to the UV radiation from the sun. There was actually a study that showed that if a person wore an SPF sunscreen of at least 15 every day, they showed 24% less signs of aging than their counterpart who didn't wear sunscreen at all. So just to show that the sun does have an effect on aging. So what we need to talk about first is kind of the sun and the different rays that it emits. So we're going to put up a picture, and on this you will note that the shortest ray is the UVB. How I think about this is it goes into the very superficial layer of the skin, and it is responsible for burning. So UVB and burning, that creates your sunburn, leads to a lot of the skin cancers, and also increases the free radicals. If you remember from a previous show, free radicals are these nasty little molecules that try and steal electrons from your healthy cells, so they cause some issues. The next ray is the UVA. It is longer. It goes into the dermis, which is the second deep layer in your skin. UVA causes aging signs. So that's where you get a lot of your aging. You do get some increase of the free radicals, and a very tiny bit is for the skin cancer. Now on the other side is the IRA, which is your infrared rays. This is a new player in the game. It goes very deep, and it actually heats up the skin, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So those are your different rays. In 2011, the FDA came out with a new ruling on sunscreens, and on this they noted several things. One, your sunscreen should say that it's broad spectrum. That means you have UVB protection and at least some sort of UVA protection. You should have your SPF, which should be noted. Usually it's anywhere from 2 to 50 plus. Also, there should be an alert that there is a skin cancer and skin aging issue with exposure to the sun. And it might say that the sunscreen is water resistant or very water resistant, but the terms waterproof and sweat proof are now banned by the FDA. So that's kind of what you look at when you're looking at your sunscreens. So let's look at the different levels of protection. So SPF, sun protection factor, that one we're all pretty much aware of. This one is how much protection you have from the UVB rays, so the burning rays. So what that means, if you have an SPF of 15, that means if you have that on, you can stay out in the sun 15 times longer than if you didn't have any sunscreen on and not burn. If you have an SPF of 15, that is blocking 93% of the UVB rays. If you bump that up to an SPF of 30, it's going to block 97%. You can't keep increasing the SPF. You are never going to get to 100%. So a lot of the dermatologists will say you need to at least have at least 30 of the SPF. Now the issues with SPF is when you put on a sunscreen, it is expected the dose for covering your full body is 1 ounce, which is basically a shot glass full. And it's not often that someone puts that much sunscreen on. So to get that SPF on that bottle, you're supposed to put on 1 ounce. Not many people do that. In addition, if people do use the higher SPF, say 50, in their mind a lot of times they don't think that they need to reapply as often, and that SPF starts to fade also. So those are two issues kind of with SPF, but that's what you're looking for. Now a new rating is for the UVA. There hasn't been a great UVA rating before, and we kind of took one from the Japanese rating system. It is called the PA plus scale. It goes from PA plus to PA plus 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 plus, so 4 pluses. The least protection is PA plus, and the most is the 4 plus. And that just gives you how much UVA protection that you have. So something new that you'll probably be seeing on some sunscreens coming out. So let's look at some of the sunscreens here. This is Skin Medica sunscreens. They just came out with these last July, but I want to talk about the other side. These are brand new, just came out. These are their basic sunscreens, and there are 3 of them. You can see even on here it says broad spectrum. It gives the SPF. When you get this in the box, it will show you that all of these have a PA4 plus, so that is the highest protection for UVA. These are 4 different causes, different skin types. So this Everyday Clear is one that has an SPF of 47. It is good for oily skin and combination. That is what I have my teenagers using. The other 2 are very similar. One is tinted, one is not tinted. These are great for normal skin, combination skin. They're also very good for post-procedure. So if you're having a chemical peel, if you're having IPL, anything like that, laser treatments. These are great post-procedure. So those are your general sunscreens. So then what I want to look at is the Total Defense and Repair. These 3 came out in July of last year, and this is one of my favorite products. So it is called a super screen because it has your regular sunscreen in it. It has your broad spectrum, the different SPFs. But in addition to this, it goes after that newest player of the infrared rays. Infrared rays from the sun go to that deep layer of the subcutaneous tissue and causes heat. What happens is it can heat up that layer of the skin to 40 degrees Celsius, which is actually 104 degrees Fahrenheit. At that heat, it breaks down collagen, elastin, it causes inflammation and increases your free radicals. So it is something that can cause some damage and some problems to the skin, leads to aging, leads to skin cancers. So this is, you'll see a new crop of sunscreens that have some infrared protection to them also. So with this one, Skin Medica has a proprietary blend of antioxidants that's called Sol IR, and that is the protection against the infrared. Having those antioxidants in there really fights against those free radicals that we have talked about in the past, and it also has some additional antioxidants that help at rejuvenating the skin. So we have a before and after picture that I'm going to put up, and I want you to focus on the lady's upper lip. This lady only used this Total Defense and Repair, and no other skincare products, and you can see the difference from before she started using it and 8 weeks and the difference in the lines. So not only was she protecting herself, but she was actually rejuvenating and improving her skin. So this is a great product, perfect for someone who's just getting into skincare. They get their sunscreen, but they also get some antioxidant protection. So other things that we hear about sunscreen is that some women will say, well, I have sunscreen in my makeup. You aren't using enough makeup for that SPF to cover or give you the protection that you need. Also, the combination of sunscreen and bug spray that is out there, I would not recommend that. I would use those separately, and the biggest reason is you need to reapply your sunscreen much more often than you want to reapply a bug spray. And then the last one is I hear, how long do sunscreens last? Many of them do have an expiration date, but the FDA has said that they need to be potent in their bottle for at least 3 years. So hopefully you're not having sunscreen around that long. Hopefully you're using it, but 3 years is the expiration. So hopefully we gave you some new information and brushed you up on the old information regarding sunscreens. We want you to have an awesome summer, but also be protected. When talking about sun exposure and sun protection, we also need to know that everybody has a different skin type. And this will depend on your family background, your ethnicity. Some people will be pale and will burn and peel and never really gather much color at all. Others can be outside for a very minimal amount of time, never burn and tan. So knowing your skin type can also help you adjust what kind of sunscreen may be beneficial for you and how often that you need to reapply it. As far as spray tans are a good option to natural sun tan. However, I want you to know that they do not provide you with any sun protection. So when you get a spray tan, you need to use your sunscreen just like everybody else. As far as tanning beds, there is a new FDA regulation on those that you cannot go in those until you are 18 unless you have parents' permission, a written permission by your parent that you can use a tanning bed. The tanning rays the UV rays in a tanning bed are several times stronger than the sun, and so those are very particular. You need to be protected and know what you're doing with that. And really, as a physician, I would recommend not going in tanning beds at all. So hopefully we have taught you some about sun protection, skin types, and have you off to a great summer.